one more streaming channel to connect. It says it's sending stuff. Perfect, streaming. Hello, everyone. This is the second video I have made in the series of Scrywall Sundays. This is where I show off something that I have received that is tabletop role-playing game related, whether it is something that was sent to me by a publisher or something I have bought. Today, I am showing off something that I bought because I have actually asked people on social media. I gave them a list of things that they would like for me to show off in the next video, and this is what everybody voted on. This is also what some of my friends have said they would like to see as well too. So today we're looking at the latest box set from Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeons and Dragons Welcome to the Hellfire Club box set that is set and based off of the Stranger Things Netflix series. This is based off of the campaign that Eddie was running in the series. I don't know how well it aligns with what was happening in the show. I've heard different things about it. I know it uses the D&D 2024 rules, so it's not using the rule set that Eddie would have been using in the time period, but it uses the most current version of Dungeons and Dragons for the rules and all that. But the idea here is that this is the campaign that he was probably running inside the series, or at least that episode, when we saw them playing Dungeons & Dragons. So, with that being said, we're going to open this up for the first time. You see that the wrap is still on it. I did make a little incision on here just to make it easier for me to open it up, because nothing's worse than waiting for somebody to spend one whole minute trying to open this up. So, let's go ahead and switch over to the overhead cam so I can show you what's all in here. Hey, August! How you doing? All right. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Let me switch over here. This is so weird. I'm going to adjust my camera here for a second. Hold on here. So that way you don't see my dirty little floor here. Bum, bum, bum. All right. This is what I'm going to do. Let's switch over to this. That is so weird. I swear this thing always likes to be weird for whatever reason. Okay. Bear with me all as I'm trying to get this all sorted out. Okay. All right. Now, let's switch over. Okay. This looks a lot better now. So, yeah, sorry you saw all that stuff on the floor. It's just something that I've been meaning to pick up a little bit for a while, and that's just a reminder that I should really do that. So that's not how I had it framed earlier, but anyway, so let's go ahead. You guys are not here for me to talk about my wall, or my floor, rather. Let's go ahead and open this up, and so let's see what's in here. And I love the artwork and how it has the iconic Eddie pose that we saw in the episode of Stranger Things. Each of these characters are supposed to be, let's see here, are supposed to be characters from of the kids from the television show or from the Netflix series. So this is Lucas, this is Erica, this is Will the Wise. I think that might be Mike, and that's Dusty. I think. I'm not entirely sure. So, but then we see like the little weird Demogorgon in the back, and we got Eddie there. Let's go ahead and take a look at what is on the side here, so this way you guys can see this. So, yeah, so it comes with a quick start guide, a play guide, 4 adventure booklets, 2 double-sided poster maps, 4 handouts, double-sided Hellfire Club poster. Ooh, nice. A Hellfire Club photo, Dungeon Master screen, combat tracker, 91 cards for spells, magic items, and monsters. 72 tokens for characters and monsters. So my guess is we're probably going to have to popping this out. I won't do that today for the stream, but you have to pop it out for the game, I'm assuming. 15 character sheets and 11 game dice. This says this is for 3 to 5 players, 45 plus minutes playtime. Interesting. So obviously this kind of has like a little bit of a board game feel to it. When I first looked at this seemed like it's pretty similar to the box set for the starter set for the Dungeons and Dragons that came out earlier this year. Yeah, and then you can see the same thing here, but there's a QR code that you can scan that says see how easy it is to play. So, anyways, but yeah, so this seems like it has like kind of a similar feel for the Dungeons and Dragons starter kit starter set that they released earlier in terms of like the different kinds of pieces and components and all that, which actually makes it helpful, I think, to try to get into the game. So, welcome to the Hellfire Club. Experience Eddie Munson's Lost Dungeons and Dragons adventures. One player takes on the mantle of Hellfire Club leader and dungeon master, while the others play characters like Erica Sinclair's backstabbing rogue, Lady Applejack, or Dustin Henderson's battle-loving cleric, Nog the dwarf. Embark on cooperative adventures inspired by Stranger Things and earn your place in the Hellfire Club. And I think you guys can, you can at least see the box, but you probably can't read that here. So, because the text is probably a little bit small from your angle there. Relive Stranger Things. Travel back in time to the spring of 1986 with immersive components like Hellfire Club members, ready-to-play character sheets, collectible cards, and double-sided Hellfire Club poster. Battle vile monsters from demodogs to devils, delve into the Veiled Shadows, and solve dockside murders across 4 adventures. Each adventure has many potential possibilities and outcomes, and for all fans, this game is a blast for all skill levels. Everything you need to play is included. Interesting. So this says battle vile monsters from demodogs to devils. I think demodogs is something specific to Stranger Things, so I'm wondering if this is one of those things like they're kind of taking luxury with this because it probably wasn't an actual monster in Dungeons and Dragons at that time. I don't think. I never really looked up specifically, but I'm pretty sure demodogs is just kind of like a Demogorgon type of thing. You know what? I'll look up in the current monster manual because maybe it's in here, maybe it's not. Who knows? So, but let's look here. Demodogs. I know there's a Demogorgon, which the Demogorgon in Stranger Things is different than the Demogorgon that's in Dungeons and Dragons. Just in case you didn't know, because they just use D&D terms just to kind of describe the monster that they're up against. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, is Demogorgon not in here? No, it's got to be in here. Hold on. What else would be under Demogorgon, right? Well, let's see here. I know y'all are just so enthralled, like, oh, we came here to see the Stranger Things box set, and here I am looking up some obscure monster in the monster manual. Oh, maybe they got rid of Demogorgon. Unless it's listed somewhere else. Demidogs. Yeah, Demidogs. Well, I'm going to have to look this up here because I thought Demogorgon was still in here. Oops, sorry. Yeah, that's for another time, I guess. So I'll look that up later, but yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and open this up because that's what you guys came here to watch, not to me trying to figure out where Demogorgon is a monster manual when I thought it's in there, but maybe it's not. So, all right, let's try to open this up if I can to the best of my ability. Slide open. There we go. That side at least is coming up. What about this side? Here we go. Perfect. Man, this is like sealed. This is not wanting to open up at all. It's like not sliding down here. Okay, so let me go ahead and pry this open just a little bit. So that way we get some momentum here. All right, here we go. Now I got a better lift for it. So at least when you put it back together, it's solid and doesn't open up easily, which is good. Kind of keeps it self-contained. I'm going to put the box lid over here, just kind of put stuff in there. Oh, nice. Okay, so this is the photo I think that they had in the show as well, too. So you got Dusty, you got Eddie. I can't remember some of the other characters here. These are the ones that are in the club, but these are like the upperclassmen here. I can't remember their names, but we got Mike, Lucas. Nice. That's really cool. Oh, look at that. Henderson. Oh, yeah, you wrote this to Henderson. Yeah, that's cool. If you're reading this, then today is a long-awaited day. That's right. Take that cap off, big boy. High into the air. I finally graduated. I told you this was going to be my year. Consider this the last will and testament of Eddie the Banished. With me out. Sorry, I thought I saw something weird happen over here. With me out of the picture, someone has to keep the flames of hellfire burning, and it's high time you step behind the screen. I hereby bequeath you to my secret trove of adventures. Use them to guide all the little lost sheepies home. You, my friend, are the future of hellfire. This is your year, hellfire forever, Eddie. Nice. I like that. That's really cool. I'll put that over here. All right, this is the Read Me First Quick Start Guide. So this talks about unpacking the box. And what I like about this is that this is like in the style of the first edition, maybe second edition Dungeons and Dragons. I think that's first edition. There's like all these different editions, and then there's like these different box sets within the editions that people distinguish from different, like advanced Dungeons and Dragons as well too. So we got for everyone, so it tells you what this is for that everybody can see, and then who only the Dungeon Master is this for. So you're going to collect the booklets and the maps. You're going to punch out the tokens. So I told you there's tokens involved. Retrieve the character sheets, which I love how like old school this looks. And sort the cards. You get a little QR code as like a little like how to get started and everything. So yeah, and they got some like throwback into Stranger Things like the waffles here and the Crush Coke can. Nice. I love the artwork. The artwork's really cool. Yeah, so it talks about choose your role and it has like some pre-gens here. So if you're truly new to Dungeons and Dragons, you can use a already created character here. It doesn't say what level here, so my guess is that you're still going to be starting at level 1. And then there's a rules glossary, running the adventure. Nice, and then kind of shows you what this looks like here. Nice, really cool. The Demogorgon spawn. A +1 flail, the burning hands. Oh, that's really cool. So you got a little card for the spell too. And then this is what the DM screen looks like too. So that's really cool. Nice. All right. Then the play guide. So again, this is kind of in the style of the old school Dungeons and Dragons. They even made it look like it's been beat up as well too. That's really cool. I like that. But obviously, all the art is based off of Stranger Things. Again, this is the play guide. So I think this is probably for everybody here. So yeah, this is really cool. So you get these magic item cards and spell cards, which by the way, I really hope Wizards of the Coast at some point come out with spell cards or monster cards or magic item cards for 2024 D&D, because I think that'd be really cool. My kid and I played one-on-one D&D yesterday, and what was really cool is that he found a box of monster cards that were based off of the 2014 5th edition, and he pulled those out and decided which ones to run based on the art alone. So there's something to say about the cards being able to make it a little bit easier and a lot more fun to run them when you have physical cards that you can refer to the stat box very quickly. I also taught him how to build an encounter based on a trick from Sly Flourish I've learned about how to create an encounter on the fly by looking at the challenge ratings and then looking at the character levels of the party as well too. And I showed him how to do that with the monster cards, and he thought it was really cool. So anyways, but yeah, so you got cards of magic items and spell cards that tells you what they do. And they even kind of, put a little descriptor of like how to read this card as well too. So like there's the master property, which this one, let's see here, sap. Oh, okay. So this is the back here. So this tells you like what your item can do with that. So but yeah, so a nice little breakdown of like what each part is of the card and kind of describes what that is. So like this is the card name, this is the card type, and then where's number 2? Oh, number 2 is down here. Magic item, and then the card type is down here, then card subtype, all that. And then character sheet. So this goes through how to read your character sheet. And I think like this was the kind of, at least the color, like this is kind of the vibe of the old character sheets that they had. They didn't have like all this information or all these boxes and all that, but it kind of has that little like yellow tint from the character sheets, if I remember correctly. So, which is really cool. All right, and then we got the monster cards, and again, how to read them gives you the AC, the hit points, all the traits, the actions, things like that. So, truly, if this is your first time running this kind of gives you a nice little reference to how to read these things when you're playing this. So, and playing the game, the 6 abilities, D20 test. So, a lot of this stuff is straight from the player's handbook, but in a condensed format, which is really good, really nice. I love the artwork here. So this is also very reminiscent of the player's handbook as well too, but using some Stranger Things vibes here as well too. So this is really cool. I'm not going to go through all this because I know how to play the game, and this looks pretty similar. But oh, this is cool. So this is a rules glossary. So they have this in the player's handbook, but they've been having this in the play guide as well too. Is that if you ever need to look up a rule, they have a whole section for you to look up certain things in here. Now, sometimes it'll make sense where to find it. Sometimes you'll be like, where is this at? And it's kind of hidden underneath something else that makes sense if you know about it. So I don't know if this will be the kind of the same thing as well too. If they kind of put things, the way it is in the player's handbook, or if they adjust some things to kind of make it a little bit easier for you to find something based on what you're looking for. But like, for example, if you are trying to equip a weapon, it's under the attack action, okay? Which I'll get here a little bit closer here. But you can see here the equipping and unequipping your weapon. So it's not under weapons. It's not under equipping or anything like that, but it's under the attack action. So that was one thing that it took me a while to figure out. I know I've read it somewhere. Where is it? And it's under the attack action because equipping and unequipping has to be part of your attack action that you're taking. So if you're like a spellcaster, it's one of those things where like unless you're attacking, you're not technically supposed to be able to like switch things out. Now, there's also the question of what about free object interaction, and that becomes a whole thing, and it kind of depends on the table and all that, because they don't really explain if free object interaction... Let's see here. Do they have it here? They probably don't have it here unless I go to object interaction or something like that. Here, petrified, paralyzed. Yeah. So, again, it's probably somewhere, but... then there's object interactions that is kind of a little bit vague. I think the strict interpretation of it is that because it says equipping and unequipping weapons as part of the attack action, then that kind of action has to go with the attack action. It's not free object interaction, but I'm a little bit loose on those rules. I think it's, whatever makes the most sense or whatever makes the most fun. Like, I don't want things to kind of get in the way of that as well, too. But if you rule it, very strictly, I think you're well within your rights to do that as well, too. So, all right, so the first adventure is Vanishing Gnome, adventure for level 1 characters. I don't want to spoil this for anybody, so I'm not going to go through this on camera at least, but let me go ahead and pull this over here. Nice. Well, this is what I'll do, because I think people want to see what's in here. So I'll show the first level 1 adventure. So if you're going to plan on playing this, look away now for the next 5 minutes and then come back on. But let me show you what's in here, Lee, so that way you know what to expect in the other adventure books as well, too. So, again, nice little vibe of reflecting the times that this show takes place in. But this gives you key plot points, tells you what level this is for. The adventure is designed to fill 1 or 2 sessions of play if you aren't using the map of Grey Hawkins. Love that. Gnomes are bitching. If you're not using the map of Grey Hawkins, it can take place in any shadowy dungeon. So this gives you some flexibility on where you can put this. So like maybe you don't want to run this as a Stranger Things kind of adventure, but you like what's in here. You want to pull into Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms or Eberron or something like that. It kind of allows that for you to do that. You have to make some adjustments, obviously. So this is something more for a seasoned dungeon master to be able to do that. But that's really cool that they write that in there that you can pull this in any dungeon. It doesn't matter like what the exact setting is because it'll work either way. So, but this is really cool because it tells you key plot points. It tells you how to prep for this, and even tells you how players can assist you in running the adventure as well too. Which this is also in the Dungeon Master's Guide as well too. But you can have the players help with combat tracker, monster wranglers. The rules consultant, things like that. And then tells you the adventure background, hide and seek. So this is probably something, let's see here. Fizzlebin. Let me get this a little bit closer so you can see this a little bit better here. Fizzlebin hides in the Shadow Dungeon, a mirror of the Dungeon of Shadows. Roll on the Fizzlebins. I'm sorry, Flizzlebins. I've been pronounced that incorrectly. Flizzlebin's hiding spot table to determine where the characters can find the gnome in the dungeon, detailed later in this invention. Flizzlebin avoids harm in his hiding place by using the cap of vanishing. Okay, cool. So this is something where you can randomly decide where Flizzlebin's hiding spot is at, which will affect the adventure that you're going to be running here as well too. But it also tells you like this is where they could go. You don't have to randomly roll. You can if you want to, but if you're like, you know what, I want to have it be here because I think this would be interesting to have characters go there, you can definitely do that. All right, and it tells you the beginning adventure. Whenever you see these little text boxes that's in this tan color here, which you can see a little bit better now. Sorry, I'm holding it way down here that you can't see shit. But if I hold it up here, you can see it a little bit better. When you see these tan boxes, tells you as the DM, like this is something you read out loud to your players. So, which is really great. And then these are just kind of like additional like sidebar notes. They usually call it sidebars. But then you got the graphic here, like a little photo to kind of help with the vibes. And then you got a map, which is really cool. So you got a map that you can use. I think there's maps in here. So the nice thing is if you have the starter set, you got the map. So this is just showing you in the adventure guide what these things refer to, and you have like the key location markers, so that way you know like when it's describing something like what was here, like D3 Labyrinth of Doom, then refers to over here. This is the Labyrinth of Doom, right? But this looks really cool. Like I like the map. This is supposed to become like a play of the Shadowfell, obviously, because of the Upside Down and the Stranger Things series and all that. But yeah, this runs very similar to how Dungeons and Dragons adventures are usually written as well too, which is really cool. So, all right, and then you got some more. Anytime you see like the Demogorgon spawn that's bolded, that tells you that that's a monster that they're probably going to be going up against. Let's see. Shadow Dungeon, and again, like all the monsters, there should be cards that you can use. So like Null Warriors, things like that. Really cool. Nice. And then this is a throwback to like the original Dungeons and Dragons. Was the Forge of Giltrax looms with the Forge of Annihilation. That's what it was. Yeah. Altar of Vecna. Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah, so it kind of gives you that vibe of like old school Dungeons and Dragons that's really connected to Stranger Things, but runs very similar to if you decide to run your own games or play more in Dungeons and Dragons beyond the core set. It kind of gives you a preview of what to expect when you see a published adventure campaign they might want to run. So, okay, so that is Adventure 1. And as I promised, I'm going to skip the other adventures. But we got level 2 characters. Which is called Scream of the Crop. And then I believe this is level 3 characters. This is upside down here. Hold on. Yep, level 3, Ballad of the Rat King. Interesting. I'm just kind of curious if this actually has some connection to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, since the Rat King is in Ninja Turtles, but I don't know if the Rat King was created by then or not. So, but that's really cool. So we got level 3, and then we got another level 3 character adventure as well too. Devil Metal Die. Love that. Okay, and then what we have here. This is. If another should find this note, take heed. This is not the realm you know. Do not be fooled by the familiar corridors. Oh, I bet you this is like the little note that you give people at the beginning. That's kind of like a prop to get them immersed in the world. So that's really cool. I like that. All right. Okay. So this must be another prop. Obviously, this is something that you have to kind of decipher. So, see that? It's really hard to read, but my guess is there's something that you have. Okay, and then you got the contract at the back. So that might actually be an Infernal. So that's the contract. Obviously, that someone made for some sort of pact, and then maybe that's like supposed to be Eddie's version of Infernal. Yeah, that looks about right because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that looks about right. So yeah, that's really cool. So these are all different props that you can use for the game. We got someone that's missing here. So I'm probably spoiling some of the other adventures, so I apologize. By the authority of Oakshore. Okay, and then we got the character sheets here. So this is really cool. So it gives you that old school feeling of the character sheets. And they said 15 sheets, and they weren't kidding. So what it is 15 sheets, like 3 of each character, I believe, right? Because I think there's 5 characters altogether. Yeah, so 3 of each one. But this is level 1, this is level 2, and this is level 3. So that's how that works, okay? So you got level 1 of the Erica character, and then you got level 2, and then you got level 3. So this is updated for you already and prepped already for you to be able to play at that level without knowing how to level up your character. So you don't have to do anything other than read what's on here. So, which is really cool. Yeah, then you got the track for inspiration. So this looks a little different than the current version of the character sheet. So things are kind of in different orders and stuff like that, but this is really cool. So I love these character sheets and how they kind of update everything and give you everything you need. So that way you can just jump in and play. You don't have to figure out how to level up your characters if you're not familiar with doing that. So now the nice thing is here, and people will ask about this, do I have to play these characters? No. I mean, that's the nice thing about Dungeons & Dragons. That's the nice thing about games, is that you can adapt it to however you want, right? What I will say is that you could still use these character sheets and just, give your character a different name and photo and all that. So if you want to play like this type of character, but you want to have like a different history or character story and stuff like that, you could definitely do that, but still use this for all the stats and everything as well too. So don't feel like you're locked into these characters. You can definitely use these character sheets and change the character, or just make your own if you know how to do that. So perfect. So I'm going to put that in here. All right, and then this looks like this is like a little packaging filler there that I can just go ahead and move over there. What is this? Oh, more packaging filler. Okay. Interesting. All right, so these are all the maps. So again, a little bit of spoiler if you don't want it to be spoiled for you, but these are the maps that it comes with in Stranger Things. And this is actually the first one I'll show you here, which I think we can get all this in here. If not, I apologize. But we'll at least go a little bit. But if you remember the first level adventure I was showing you, this is from that. So you can put this map down, and you can have minis that represent your characters, which they have pop-out tokens that you can pop out and use as well. And then you play a game of Dungeons & Dragons using these maps. And these are like really nice quality as well, too. Like this is some sort of like laminated paper, but honestly, like feeling this feels like it's a little bit, like you could tear it, but it's not flimsy that it's tear easily as well, too. But you can put this down, and then it has the squares for your characters to fall through and stuff like that. This is really cool. And then over here on the side as well, too, that you guys can see as well. But what's cool is that you probably can't see it too well, but if I hold it up here, you got the title of that map there, and then the title of this map is over here. So it's literally like the upside down. You're flipping it upside down to see both of those maps. So that is really cool. I know the starter kit or the starter set for Dungeons & Dragons that came out earlier this year also has its own maps, and I've heard incredible things about those maps as well, too. So this seems like this kind of has that same kind of design and feel to it as well, too. So, all right, again, to try to avoid spoilers, I'm not going to show all the maps. But, man, this is really cool. I might actually see if my cousin and her kids and husband want to play this, because I know they've been wanting to play D&D for a while, and I think this would be like a really easy way to get them into it, is be able to give them their character sheets and just kind of go. And I think a lot of them really enjoy Stranger Things as well, too. So these are the tokens for the different characters. Your characters that you play, NPCs, the monsters, things like that. And obviously, this is based on size of the characters as well, too. So these are all the NPCs and monsters. The character tokens probably come up with these little standees. You can probably see, if I get closer there, that you would punch those out, and then you put that on the standee as kind of like a little two-dimensional token that you would have. And then obviously these are proportional to if you had like an actual mini. This is about the same size about in terms of how many squares it would take up as well, too. So black and white, but I think that works out well. I don't know if that's an aesthetic style art design, or if that was something that they decided to do to kind of keep the prices down. But either way, I think this still works very well. And honestly, you don't need three-dimensional minis. Like, you could do something like this. You can actually I know there's been a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of articles that shows you how you can make these for your map that's really cheap, so that way you don't feel like you have to spend like hundreds of dollars on minis just to have something representational for your physical games too. So, all right, let's pull this one up. Ooh, this is the Dungeon Master screen. Man, this is nice. All right, so I'm gonna open this up for you and show you the cover here. So you got Hellfire Club. This is clearly supposed to be Mike's basement, but in the D&D world. See, this is really cool. Like, I like this. Like, it's this imagination of seeing the world around you and being immersed and transformed into the fantasy world, right? Like, this is definitely that. You could tell this is Mike's basement, but now this is a underground tavern that they're going into when they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. I love that. And then you got the classic Eddie standing over as the DM with these, references to the adventures that they're doing, probably some Lord of the Rings call out, stuff like that. But the artwork itself is really cool. And then you got this last scene that they have here that my guess is like this is probably the final scene for one of the adventures or something like that. So, but this, excuse my language, but this is fucking sick. Like, this is honestly, I love this. This is really cool. Okay. And then for the DMs, you got your little cheat sheets here, so you can look up very quickly what happens when someone has a condition, the types of actions they could have, improvising damage with different levels there, concentration, what that means, cover, which some people don't realize. And I really only learned about this earlier this year. But if somebody is between you and your enemy that you're trying to attack with like a ranged spell attack or with a bow and arrow, something like that, they technically have half cover, which means that their AC gets bumped up to a +2 and their dexterity saving throw gets a +2 as well too. If there's somebody that is between you and the enemy, or another structure that might be giving them half cover as well too. So, anyways, but yeah, that's kind of your thought for the day. Let's see here. Death saving throws. You got your skills. Move this over here. You got your difficulty classes, object armor class, object hit points, light sources, obscured areas, visibility, outdoors, weather, and then the map of Grey Hawkins. Free City of Grey Hawkins. So if you're not familiar, this is totally a play on Greyhawk, which is the first setting of Dungeons & Dragons that was created by one of the co-creators of Dungeons & Dragons, Gary Gygax. Now, I'm kind of curious to see what this area is based off of, because Greyhawk, in the world of, it's like Earth or something like that. It's not Earth, but it's like Oerth. Actually, I can't remember how it's pronounced exactly. I'm sure people pronounce it very different ways. But that area is actually based off of Chicago. Because I think Gary Gygax was originally from there, or he just, that was like the big city that was closest to Lake Geneva, where he was living at the time. So I'm kind of curious where this is based off of. This is kind of based off of that same area, like if they just took a map of Greyhawk and just adjusted it or not. But this looks really cool. So this would be really cool for you to be able to pull out and be like, this is where your party is at right now. You need to get over here. So very nice. Honestly, look at this stuff. I use D&D Beyond for my online games. I might get the D&D Beyond digital stuff, because that'll be a lot of fun to have access to and be able to run this online. So DM screen, fantastic. Absolutely love it. Really nice, really slick, really high quality. Has, what a first-time Dungeon Master would need to be able to refer to when they're running the game. So, all right, let's see what else is in here. Oops. All right, so this is just a little packaging separator, but here we go. We got the 11 dice. These are the red D&D dice right here. This is like kind of like the typical iconic like clear through red dice that you get in all the starter sets that you have. So you got the dice here. Combat tracker. Now this is really cool. What's interesting here, and this I've heard other people said this as well too, and again, my guess is, there's reasons for this, but if I can pull this out here, one thing to be mindful of is that this does not come with a pencil. So you do need to provide your own pencil for the combat tracker. Oh, nice. And there's also this as well too. Okay, so this is a whole set of cards. I'm going to go ahead and open this up here real quick so that way we can see what's in here. My guess is a lot of these are the monster cards because I didn't see those in the other ones. And my guess is the monster cards are probably going to be bigger anyway since they have a lot more information on there versus spells and magic items. But let me go ahead and open this here. Pull this out. Pull this out. If I can. Perfect. All right. And I'll put the trash down here. All right. So this talks about what you can do on your turn during combat, which is great. So this is a great like reference card for your players. So that way they can look at this and be like, what are things that I can do? So this is on your turn during combat. And then these are things that like actions you can do outside of combat, but you can do these in combat as well too. But this is kind of talking about when it's your turn. Here's some things. And then it's, again, this is very much like a board game. I see a lot of board games that have something like this. Sorry, I'm just realizing I'm really bad at this. I apologize, guys, but I need to be more mindful of the camera here. I probably just need to get closer here. So hold on. Let me go ahead and I'm going to switch this to over here. See if I can get this closer. So that way you guys aren't struggling when I'm not paying attention to this shit. So, all right. Okay, so now this is closer here. So yeah, this is much, much better. Okay, so on your turn in action. So just like board games, I played a lot of board games where they have something like this. Like they have like a reference card on what you can do while you're playing the game. And so they'll have like, here are the actions you could take, and then here's what each action is. So very similar to what we're seeing here. So this is really smart. And then again, this could be spoilers. So if you don't want this spoiled for you, walk away now. But we got the different monsters so you can show your players, right? You can be like, this is the monster you're going up against. And as you're showing it to them on the backside, you got the stat block, right? So you can, if you have the DM screen and you use like a paperclip or a clothesline pip or whatever, clothesline pin, is you can put it on the DM screen and have it hold up like this. So that way your players can see this and you can be like, this is the Ink Egg's turn. And then on the other side, you're able to read and see what they're doing. So this is actually really cool. I would love to see people make like little, I know they do, but make like little slide trackers that you can actually do this for monsters that you can kind of put up there and have them see these things. Kind of like an initiative tracker and all that. So, but yeah, so we got all these monster stat blocks. Demogorgon spawn, Fizzlebin or Flizzlebin. Yeah. So Corax, violet fungus. Sorry, not violent. Violet fungus. But yeah, I love that. And then we got, I'll show you the combat tracker. So as the DM, you can use this little pad. Excuse me. And you can keep track of combatants in the order, the hit points, conditions. Hit points, this is a trick that I've been using that I've heard people say, and it's helped a lot and helped immensely. But with hit points, instead of writing down how many hit points they have and then subtracting it, still write down how many hit points they have. So like write the name and then just put in parentheses the number of hit points. But instead of like subtracting, just add up the amount of damage that they've taken. So if the monster has like 75 hit points, then you just put 75 next to their name. And then in the hit points section, if they take like 8 damage from an attack, you just write down 8. And then if the next round or next turn, they take like an additional 13, then you just add 13 on it. So you just erase it and then you put 21. And you just add it up. So that way, once you write down 75 or higher, you know that the monster is dead. And that's a lot easier to add up versus subtracting, because I can see people realizing that they didn't, lower enough hit points from the subtraction, but adding up tends to be a little bit easier. So the other trick to think about as well too is that you're going to have to figure out like how to know everybody's initiative order and then how to put it in order as well too. So my guess is they don't have that, but what you can do is you can just put it on the back, write that down as a scratch paper, and then you just kind of go back and forth, be like, okay, so this person rolled that, so they go in this order basically, right? So then you can scratch it out as you write their name down. So little trick for you if you use that, but that's really nice that they have a pad of paper for you use for combat tracker. Again, no pencil, so make sure you have a pencil ready to go, but at least you have that. And then let's take a look at the magic item cards. Let me see if I can get this with my little dagger charm thing right here. Yeah, that's a little bit easier. Perfect. Okay. And then awesome. All right. All right, so these are the magic item cards. So this tells you like basically what it looks like at the front, right? On the front of the card. Tells you what it is. It tells you like the subcategory. So this is breastplate. It tells you the armor class is a 14 plus your dex, which is a max 2. So it tells you like what your armor class is when you're wearing this. And then on the back, it tells you what you can do with it. So for this one, the magic item is, excuse me, on the other side card, you must subtract your dexterity modifier if it is negative. The suit of armor is reinforced with adamantine, one of the hardest substances in existence. While you're wearing it, any critical hit against you becomes a normal hit. So that is also something straight from Dungeons and Dragons. Cap of Vanishing. And again, this tells you that this is a wondrous item, requires attunement. They're not even telling you like what rarity this is, it seems like. So, which you probably don't need to know that anyways when you're playing something like this. But what's interesting here is that this makes it seem like anybody can wear. Well, it's medium armor, right? Yeah, it's medium armor. So medium armor is fine. So once you get to heavy armor, there's actually a strength requirement for that. So, but you got the cloak of billowing. This is the greatest common magic item here. While wearing this cloak, you can take a bonus action to make it billow dramatically for 1 minute. Here's what I do. Oh my gosh, and they wrote this in. This is something that I have said, like, this would be really cool to do if somebody decides to use this ability in a social interaction or something like that. I think this is what they did in here. Special use. You have advantage on performance checks you make to amuse humanoid onlookers while the cloak is billowing. Yes, because I said that this would be a great way, a creative use of being able to use this as something that gives you like some sort of advantage or bonus in a social situation. So even though it seems like kind of like just a fun, quirky thing, if you use it appropriately and, contextually makes sense of how it could influence people's, perception of you, or like how you can charm them in a way, not with the condition, but like how you can impress them and all that. Or even I would say like if you're trying to intimidate somebody, like think about how Batman, when he just shows up and he has the cape like billowing in the like behind him and all that, you could probably try to say like that's what you do to see if you can intimidate somebody as well too, right? But I love that. Then you got the +1 darts, you got the dread helm, Holly's handy haversack. So it sounds like some of these items are actually unique to D&D that is probably inspired by Stranger Things. But I love this potion of healing, so I can actually physically give this to somebody, and then once they use it, they just give it back. So it's always nice to actually have a physical representation of the thing that you have. So not everything, because you have a lot, but it is nice to have. All right. And then last but not least, you got your spell cards, which is pretty similar to your magic item cards in terms of the style, the look, and then the mechanics that you have on it. So let me see if I can open this up here with my dagger. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Bow, bow. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay, let me see if I can open it up this way. Okay. Opening this up. Ugh. I get why they're wrapping these things, but it's such a pain in the ass to open it up. So, all right, and then these are all your spell cards. So um, they tell you what the card is, the level of spell, because you're going to have to keep track of spell slots that you've used. The range, how many targets. You bolster creatures' toughness. So this is telling you like it kind of give you a sense of what this does, like the vibe, and then all the information about the spell as well too. And this is obviously going to be in alphabetical order. You got Burning Hands, which kind of gives you a diagram of like how this looks in terms of a cone and all that. So the area of effect. So this is a 15-foot cone, which means it goes 15 feet out of you, but at a cone, so like at an angle. So as long as, and I can't remember, so I apologize, but I know that the rules, one of them, can I have one of those potions? In our game, you can try to find one. I know you guys are worried about that. But in this, I can't remember because I know the rules I think may have changed a little bit, but I think the rule is as long as it covers like half of it, of the square that they're on, then they get hit, right? But if it's just like a smidge or something like that, but if you're doing it right, like you're pretty close, like you're probably going to hit those creatures. So my ruling is always like as long as at least half of the square is covered, then they're in that area of effect. I might even say something like if they're not completely in it, but you want to try to hit them, you can say that it hits them. They're like in that line, but I'm going to give them like a boost, like a 3/4 cover or something like that. So kind of depending on how you want to run things and everything. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. But usually I'm just like as long as half of it's covered, then we can go with that. So if it's less than that, then it's probably going to be a little bit more of a stretch. But I like the interesting here. Like the different, I wonder what the different symbols mean. So this is aid, cure wounds. So this is like this is like a healing spell. Obviously, this is divine smite. So my guess is these symbols. Oh, you know what? Divine smite, druidcraft. I wonder if this is because now this is self. I thought maybe it has to reflect like range and all that because this is touch. This has a range. That has a range. And then this is a range self and area. Okay, so I wonder if it has to do with like where it covers or what it hits or something like that, So awesome. All right, and these are the spell cards for the Stranger Things box set. All right, so my thoughts on this. This is really cool. Like this is really high quality, really nice quality. I haven't read through the adventures, but honestly, this got me excited that I'm probably going to text my cousin and be like, hey, next time we get together, if people want to do D&D, I can run the Stranger Things D&D adventure if people are interested in that. I'll have to talk to my wife and see because usually we play like board games and stuff that everybody can play and everything. But I know some of them have been wanting to like play some D&D and everything. So we'll see. But I think this would be really good, especially if they're a fan of Stranger Things. This is a great box set to use because then you kind of get the vibe of what D&D was like back in the day, and you get to play something that like represents or that is part of the world of Stranger Things, that the show that you really enjoy. But this is also just gives you a really good experience on like what it's like to play D&D in general as well too. So even though all the vibes are from the 80s, the rule sets and everything are based on the current rules for 5th edition. So really cool. Thank you for checking this out. I think this was a really cool box set, so I definitely highly recommend if you're a fan of Stranger Things and you like playing D&D or want to learn how to play D&D, this would be a really good box set. I forget how much it cost. I don't think it was terribly expensive. My guess is somewhere between $40 and $50 if I remember correctly. So not a bad cost at all for all the things that you get. This is a really, really high quality, really good price item. So thank you everybody for chiming in and for watching, and I appreciate that.